Alright guys, today we're going to learn how to use area models and partial products to multiply mixed numbers. Some of you have already explored how to multiply mixed numbers, but today we'll go a little further and I'll show you a formal strategy. Some vocabulary you'll see is the partial products, multiplication, and partial products. You might be hearing me say those words. Alright, so our first problem, let's just go right into it. And remember, on your note sheet that you should have in front of you, anytime I ask you to pause the video, that means to pause the video and write down any information that I'm asking you to write down. So the first problem, the kitchen of Mr. Cipro's house is 4 2/3 feet wide and 7 feet long. What is the area of the kitchen? Okay, before we even talk about how to multiply mixed numbers here, let's just underline what we know. So we know that it's 4 2/3 feet wide. We also know that this kitchen is 7 feet long. And I also know that area, if I'm being asked to find the area equals length times width. Okay, so what do I need to find out? Well, I need to find out what the area of the kitchen is. So before I talk about how to multiply this mixed number, let's just write our number model down. So let's write 4 2/3 times 7, and I'm going to put equals feet squared to help me remember that, hey, at the end I'm going to have square units. Alright, so feet squared. Pause the video and write down your number model. Now that you have your number model written, let's look at this first question. Which factor in 4 2/3 times 7 would we want to break into friendlier numbers? Well, we're going to want to break 4 2/3 up because that's our mixed number. That's our number that's not very friendly right now. So pause the video and write 4 2/3 as the factor that we're going to break into friendlier numbers. All right, go ahead and do that. All right, so now that you have that done, let's look at our next question. How can we break up 4 2/3? Well, we can separate 4 2/3 from its whole number and its fraction. So we can separate the whole number from the fraction to make 4 plus 2/3. So go ahead and do that. So our next step then is, let's make an area model for 4 2/3 times 7. So to make an area model, I gave you guys a bunch of space and it says draw an area model. What we're going to do is, let's just make a rectangular model. So we're going to draw a rectangle. All right, so pause the video and draw your rectangle. Let me get rid of this. All right, now that you have your rectangle drawn, let's break up 4 2/3 and let's make our model of it. So if I want to make a rectangular model of 4 2/3, I'm going to break this into 4 plus 2/3. So I'm going to draw a dividing line down here. Over here will be 4, and from here to here we'll say that's 2/3. And then we'll say from here to here, we'll call that 7. And I know you guys have all seen this before. Now we just multiply our 7 by each number. We'll have to do 7 times 4 and then 7 times 2/3. So let's do that. 7 times 4 is 28. I'm going to get rid of that so I know I already multiplied it. And then I have to do 7 times 2/3, which would be 14/3, or that would equal 4 2/3 if I decomposed that. All right. So now I have my two partial products, 28 and 4 2/3. So what am I going to do with my two partial products here? I'm going to add them up. I always like to put a plus sign in here sometimes. I'm just going to add them up, and I'm going to show that. So we're going to add the partial products that we came up with. So we'll add up our partial products, and let's show 28, and let's put that up and down, plus 4 2/3. And if I add them up, well, 2/3 plus 0 is 2/3. and then 28 plus 4 is 32. So the area of Mr. Cipro's kitchen is 32 and 2/3 square feet. Make sure we have our unit there, square feet. That's why I wrote that feet squared up here to help us remember. So 32 and 2/3 square feet. Go ahead and pause the video and get that down. All right, so now that we did our first example, let's try to do 2 more, and these next ones are going to be a little bit harder. Remember, when using the area model or partial products multiplication, you break apart each factor and multiply to find the partial product. This method can be used to find products of mixed numbers, which is exactly what we're doing. So my next question here is, Mr. Cipro's bathroom is 1 3/4 feet wide and 2 1/3 feet long. What is the area of his bathroom? Okay, before we even draw any sort of rectangles and stuff, let's do our Canessa. So we know that it's 1 3/4 feet wide. We also know that it's 2 1/3 feet long. And we also need to find out the area of the bathroom. That's what we need to find out. And then let's go ahead and let's write area equals length times width. So go ahead and pause the video and make sure you underline all of those things and write our formula. Area equals length times width. All right, now that you have that, let's first write our number model. So to find area, we know it's length times width. So for this problem, we want to do 1 3/4 times 2 1/3. Okay, and let's do equals feet squared again. So pause the video, get your number model down. All right, now that you have your number model, let's draw out a rectangle here. So let's make a rectangular model. Let's make our area model. So pause the video, make your rectangle model. All right, now that you have your rectangular model, let's look at this problem. All right, this one's a little trickier. We've never done 2 mixed numbers before. So we're multiplying 2 mixed numbers here. How can we break them up? Well, we can break them up the same way. Let's first just break up 1 3/4. I can break that. I can separate the whole number and the fraction again. So I can break that up into 1 3/4. And I'm going to show that by drawing this line down here. And this side will be 1, and this side will be 3/4. Pause the video and do that. Now we need to break apart 2 1/3. Again, we'll separate the whole number from the fraction. And to do that, I can make a line going horizontally like this. And I can put from here to here can be 2. And then from here to here, this smaller chunk will be 1/3. Pause the video and set up that. Now we need to make sure that we multiply each product by the other. So we need to take 2 times 1 and get 2. But we also need to multiply 2 times 3/4. And 2 times 3/4 is 6/4. Okay, so, and then I'm going to cross it out because I know I multiplied my 2 by 1 and by the 3/4. Pause the video and do that. All right, so I multiplied my 2 by 1 and by 3/4, so I also need to multiply my 1/3 by 1 and by 3/4. So 1/3 times 1 is 1/3. And then 1/3 times 3/4 is 3/12. All right, pause the video and get that down. All right, so now here comes the hard part. We need to find common denominators and we need to add up all of these partial products. So first, let's just kind of show our addition number model here, okay? So, or actually, let's do this instead. So if you guys know we have to add up all of these partial products here, we need to find a common denominator, right? Because I have 6/4 plus 3/12 plus 1/3. I have all different denominators. Here's a little secret. we can use 12 as our common denominator because we kind of already used a quick common denominator. If I look here, 1/3 times 3/4 got me 3/12. 3 times 4 is 12 is our denominator. So we can use 12 as our common denominator. So I'm going to change 1/3 into 12ths. To do that, I need to multiply it by 4/4. And I'm just going to do that in this box here. So 1/3 times 4/4 is going to get me 4/12. And I'm going to cross that out. And then 6/4, I can multiply that by 3/3. And I'm kind of out of room, so I'm going to write it over here. And I'm going to get 18/12. And I'm going to cross that out. Now, this is easy to add up. So what I'm going to do is write my number model. 2 plus, or let's write our number model up and down. So we're going to do 2 plus 18/12 plus 4/12 and plus 3/12. Let's add them up. So 2 plus 0 is 2. Let's add up our fractions. 18 plus 4 is 22, plus another 3 is 25. So our answer here is 2 and 25/12. Now, I should decompose 25/12. So 25/12, 12 can go into 25 at least 2 times, and then you have 1/12 left over. So I will have, so 25/12 equals 2 and 1/12. And then 2 plus 2 is 4. And I have 1/12 left over. And then don't forget our unit, square feet. So the area of Mr. Cipro's bathroom is 4 and 1/12 square feet. All right, so go ahead and show your addition of your partial products and make sure you have your answer 4 and 1/12 square feet down in your notes. All right, pause the video and make sure you do that. All right, let's do one more. So, next one. Mr. Cipro's basement is 3 2/5 yards wide and 5 1/3 yards long. What is the area of his basement? All right. So, first, let's use our Canessa. We know it's 3 2/5 yards wide, and we know it's 5 1/3 yards long. And I need to find out what is the area of the basement. Pause the video and get that down. All right, so now that you have your things underlined, let's write our area formula again. Area equals length times width, because that's what I need to find out. And then let's write our number model. So we want to do 3 2/5 times 5 1/3 equals, this time I'm in yards, so we're going to do yards squared. Pause the video, write down your number model. All right, next step is to make our models. So let's make an area model. So let's sketch out a rectangle. And remember, this rectangle is not to scale. It's just helping us do our multiplication of mixed numbers. All right, so now that our rectangle is drawn, we have 3 2/5 times 5 1/3. Remember, we want to separate the whole number from the fraction here. So let's do 3 2/5 first. I'm going to just put my line vertically down here, and we'll call this larger portion 3, and this shorter portion over here 2/5. Okay, pause the video and get that part down. Now let's separate 5 1/3. Let's separate our whole number from our fraction. And to do that, I'll need to make a horizontal line. And let's just draw it down here. From here to here, this larger portion will be 5. And then this smaller portion, we'll call this 1/3. Again, it's not to scale. We're just using it to help us multiply our numbers. Pause the video and get that down. Now let's multiply. All right, so I need to multiply my factor 5 here, by each of these factors. So 5 times 3, and then 5 times 2/5. All right, so 5 times 3 is 15, and then 5 times 2/5 would get me 10/5, or I know 10/5 is equivalent to 2, so I'm just going to write 10/5 or 2 there. And then I'm going to cross out my 5 because I multiplied my 5 by 3 and by 2/5. Pause the video and get that down. All right, let's do our next one here. So now I need to multiply 1/3 by 3, and I need to multiply 1/3 by 2/5. So 1/3 times 3 is 3/3, or I know that's equivalent to 1, so I'm going to do 3/3 or 1. And lastly, I need to multiply 1/3 times 2/5. So 1/3 times 2/5 is 2/15. Okay, remember, multiplying fractions, that's the easy one. We just go straight across. So 1 times 2 is 2, 3 times 5 is 15. So 1/3 times 2/5 is 2/15. Cross that out. I did all my multiplication. All right, so pause the video. Make sure you have that rectangle set up. Now, the next part is we need to add up all of our partial products. So we need to add up 15, 2, 1, and 2/15. So let's write that number model out. Let's write out 15 plus 2 plus 1 plus 2/15. And this addition is pretty easy. I got whole numbers and then a fraction left over. So 15 plus 2 is 17, plus 1 is 18, and then plus my 2/15. So my answer will be 18 and 2/15. And then I'm dealing with yards and area, so it'll be yards squared. All right, so there's my answer. And boys and girls, that's how you can multiply mixed numbers. All right, so what I want you to do now is go into Google Classroom and practice multiplying mixed numbers. So on Google Classroom, there's a whole list of activities that you can be doing. And raise your hand, show your notes to the sub, and then she'll give you the mixed numbers worksheet that you can be working on to practice your strategy. If you don't understand it right now, if you're having some trouble, ask a friend, ask the sub, or, and also on Monday, we're going to be doing this again. So don't worry, we'll have an extra day to practice on Monday as well. All right. And also, one last thing. If you like this video, make sure you click the subscribe button down below so you can always get an alert when I make a new awesome math video. All right. So go ahead and off you go.